they could be in that same position. So why not show grace and mercy, just like you would want from God in that kind of situation? And if you can be that vessel that brings them grace and mercy when everybody else around them treats them poorly or doesn't even look at them or throws trash at them, um, I think that's a special thing.
Hey guys, my name is Lois and this is Sadie and this is She Got It From Her Mom's podcast. I am so excited about this episode. We are on episode 7 and my son-in-law is joining us and I'm super excited. He's an EMT and he is really one of my biggest heroes and I'm excited to see and hear all that he has to say about his job. Sadie's going to ask him some questions. I'm super excited. Let's go.
So, in this episode, we have compiled a bunch of questions that we wanted to ask Andrew because, being a first responder is a lot and it's heavy and there's a lot that, goes into it and it's a really important job. And so we just kind of had some questions that we wanted to ask you about your job. And so the first one we have is, did you first feel called to become an EMT, and has your relationship with God been influenced by that career decision?
To be honest, at first, I did not feel influenced to become an EMT at all, or feel called at all. Um, at first, I was just looking for a way to get out of the oil field, and so I thought being a cop would be cool, just because it was different, and I had a lot of help from cops when I was a kid and everything like that. And I applied to be a cop and got the job, and I was probably 3/4 of the way through the police academy and really found out that it was just not for me. And then somebody gave me the idea to try out for being a firefighter, and I figured I was already kind of in this world and still enjoyed it better than the oil field, so I tried applying for the fire department, and I got accepted to do that, and I went through all their tests and went through their academy and everything. And then I actually got to work on the streets, and I started to really fall in love with it at that point. Once I actually got to do the work and studying school, that really interested me. So.
How did you fall in love with it? Like, what was the moment you decided this is what I want to do with my life?
I think the first thing that really got a hold of me was the brotherhood that was formed in the fire academy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I made relationships with people that I've never had in my whole life, and that just made it to where I felt like I could do that forever. As long as I was a part of something like that, I felt really like I belonged somewhere, and it was really good for me. Um, but once I got to actually start working with like people on the streets, it was weird at first because it's stuff I've never seen before.
I bet.
There's a lot to be exposed to, but it was super interesting, and everything was always different. Like, no two calls were ever the same, and that works out a lot for me because I'm not a huge fan of sitting in one place and doing the same thing over and over again.
Wow, that's so cool.
That is cool.
That is way cool.
Okay, how do you protect your joy and peace when you see so much suffering?
I just honestly have to give all of that credit to God because I've seen a lot of crazy things and hard things, and I've never really felt some kind of way about it, if that makes sense. Um, I've always just felt like I don't mean to sound cold or hard hearted because I'm not. I've always felt empathy for people or sympathy, but it was never enough to kind of tear me down or anything like that. It just made me feel blessed to be in the position that I'm in, and I felt very blessed to be able to be a helping hand in somebody's bad day.
That's a gift from God.
I agree.
Like, not everybody can walk into a situation and be able to have a demeanor to where they can like have authority over the situation without having a meltdown or
Well, and
bad
people
dreams.
people told me about that too, like yeah, prepare because like your husband's going to be carrying a lot, and like he's going to be bringing a lot home, and he's going to need like that like loving wife to just like be there. And so like I was like expecting that, waiting for that, and then he never did that. And then I was just like, are you okay? Like you never come home and really like seem necessarily tore up about the situation. Like he'll have situations that I'm like, wow, that's crazy, like are you okay? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm fine. And I'm just like, oh right, because I had all these people beforehand when he was going into like becoming a first responder, kind of just like give me that like awareness, and then he handled it very well. So I mean, I am grateful because you don't bring it home, and you don't, you know like I think the only thing that I ever saw you bring home was some of the heaviness from being a police, like going through the police academy, but which is why you switched careers, because this wasn't for you. But other than that, like you do very well, like not bringing it home and like putting it on everyone, or like changing the environment based on like what you go through. So that was weird for me at first, but and I would tell you too. I'm like, you're like, is he okay? That's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, he just says it's okay.
Well, it's a, as Pastor Troy says, I guess it would be a terrible privilege, but to be able to handle the things that you walk into, but it also gives you a heart of a rescuer, the same. And I think, God gives us a grace for that. And we can walk into places to where it doesn't totally define who we are, but we can walk in there with grace. That's
I definitely agree with that.
That's good.
Okay, can you recall a time when you felt, or I'm sorry, can you recall a time when you felt God give you a supernatural peace or clarity in a chaotic moment?
Yeah, I think anytime I go on a call that's traumatic, being like somebody's seriously hurt and needs help right now, or maybe they've died and we're doing resuscitative measures on them. Um, every time a situation happens like that, it's like everything just slows down. I don't breathe heavy. I don't feel nervous. I just am there to do a job. And I don't mean for that to sound bad either, but I think God just gives me a clear mind and a clear headspace to work and to not get flustered and to feel comfortable. So every time it's like that.
I can't imagine walking into different places and having a clear head like that. It does take a special grace.
And he'll talk about some of like the patients that he does, and he deals with a lot of like you call them like psychiatric, or what is it?
Psychiatric patients. Yeah.
And like how he'll tell me like how crazy like how chaotic the situation is and how like crazy it is, and I'm just thinking like, wow, I cannot do that. Like that's just,
I've watched him shift an atmosphere. It's crazy. He just walks up to it and handles it with calm and peace and patience, and redirects it. And it really has taught me a lot since he's been an EMT, just to handle it with grace and peace, just like he does. Yeah.
Oh. Have you ever witnessed something on a call that you can only explain as a miracle?
I think something like that. I've just seen people who have gone through things that, like, you show up and they should be dead, but they're still alive. Like one time I was on a motorcycle accident where this guy riding a motorcycle, there was a parked truck and he hit the truck and he flew through their back windshield and then somehow came back out into the bed of the truck, but his neck was broken, ribs were broken, both of his arms were broken and bones hanging out. And I mean, he was in rough shape, but he was, for some reason, totally calm, talking to me totally normal. He's able to describe everything that was going on with him and remember everything about himself. And we were able to just take him to the hospital, and he was like, obviously he was in pain, but he just told us like, yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 pain. That's it. Wow. He wasn't screaming or anything crazy like that. He was just like very peaceful.
I feel like you've also told me a story like that about like it was like, I don't know if it was like a motorcycle accident or like a car accident, but the guy like broke his like leg and his like bones was like
it was a car accident, yeah. And he was
like,
really calm too.
Yeah, and he was like really calm.
Yeah, he had broken his femur, and it was snapped in half. And then on his right leg, from the shin was snapped in half, and his bones were hanging out. And he was totally calm, just like I was like, what would you rate your pain on a scale of 1 to 10? And he's like, oh, it's a 10. Like it's hurting really bad. And I mean, obviously we're giving him medicine and
Yeah.
everything, and still he's like, yeah, it still is a 10, but he's totally calm and
Why
collected.
do you think that they do that? Is there a reason that you
I
just block out pain like that, or is
I
it a
have to put it
numbness in your?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, both of these guys were completely sober minded
Hmm.
and were able to just talk to me normally, which is so strange. Because I've had people who are like, yeah, my stomach hurts and are screaming,
Yeah.
and I don't, but yeah, those guys in traumatic situations, it could be shock. They're just slowed down from the shock. I don't know, but it's really
That's
blows
cool.
my mind,
That is
anyways.
crazy.
Makes me wonder how I would react in a situation like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think I would handle it
I
as
don't know
well.
if I would handle it that graceful.
Yeah.
I don't either. Okay, so do you feel like EMT work or first responder work is a God given assignment for this season of your life?
Yeah, I definitely do.
Why?
Well, I mean, for one, being an EMT doesn't pay as much as you think it would, I guess. Um, and I've had opportunities for other jobs, like to go back in the oil field, um, or to work for other places. And I just have this strong feeling from God that like this is where I'm supposed to be,
Mm.
and this is the job that I'm supposed to do. And I don't know how to describe it, but
Well, no, I
my
get it.
spirit is calm where I'm at.
Because like one of the past like episodes we were talking about, we had talked about how we were fighting, or not fighting, like struggling with something, and it had been like an ongoing thing. And the thing was is like his job doesn't make a lot of money, but he loves it, and it felt like a God calling. But then like we were like we could put on the side for like a while, so he was like pursuing other jobs. But it was like one of those things where like in our like private prayer time, like not even together, it was like one of those things where we're like had like the strong feeling like God was telling him, like, for me, encourage him to stay at his job and encourage him in this process. And then him was like, stay at the job. And we didn't know that until we like sat down and had a conversation. And then that was when we were like, once we came kind of in alignment with the situation or to the understanding,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, just, a lot of other things like ripple effect after that were very cool that happened afterwards that just
seemed like signs that we're doing the right, like that was the right decision.
Yeah.
Was to stay in this area.
And it was very like peaceful at the time where we were just like, did you feel that like overwhelming, like peaceful feeling? Yeah. And we're like, yeah.
I love the way God speaks to us. I mean, the way he prepares our spouse for the situation that we're going into. Sometimes we need that extra encouragement and we're not getting it. And then the Lord just kind of steps in and moves and directs in a way that we're not expecting it. And I think that God does that quite often. He helps us in our relationships and with our jobs that way.
Yeah, definitely.
It's crazy.
I think it's cool. I also think it's cool how God encourages like the situation based on the person. Like for women, for me, I just felt like it was encourage him to stay at this job and encourage like be a positive attitude in this situation because I'm the wife and like that's like that's where our placement is in marriage, I guess you'd say, like just like the heart of the home, like encouraging and nurturing. And then his was like giving him like a really strong calling to this job, and like I just thought that like it just was really cool the way that God encouraged us in the same way towards the same direction, but he used basically like our like spiritual roles in the home.
Well, he gives us free will to do what we want, but he also knows the outcome of each decision that we make. So he so as we spend time with him, he sees what we don't see in the spirit, so he can move us in the right direction.
It'd be kind of sad to be like obviously like God's not sad, but like to know what this outcome is only if like your children obey it, but then they chose this direction, and so like both outcomes, and then you just have to like watch them.
Well, like when he moves us in a direction, when I was praying before he moved to Texas, he always would tell me, I can see you in the future. I've already seen what this looks like. Just keep walking. But you can't see what it looks like in the future. So it looks like really scary. You don't know which way to turn. But you know that if you make the right decision, which at the time could be, because he also says, I also have given you free will. So you can choose whichever way to go. You know, I'll still be there, but I'm just, guiding and directing you. It's just crazy. I mean, you get to literally watch each decision play out, and the heart of the wife, the heart of the husband, and how that plays out and how that goes, and helps guide the direction that you're going. It's just watch. It's fun to watch.
Okay, so the next question is what do you do when your own emotions start to rise during an intense scene, and how do you rely on God for strength when the physical exhaustion hits?
I think the only time, like during a situation like this, where I felt myself getting like excited, to the point where I was nervous, uh, was when I was working for the fire department and I went on my first real fire. There's always, like, anytime the tones drop for a fire, you get dressed and you get in the truck, your adrenaline's pumping. But that had happened so many times for calls that were not real fires.
Yeah.
Like, it's just something, like somebody burnt toast and it wasn't a real fire or anything like that. But this one, I remember it was late at night. We all got woken up from our sleep and get dressed, get in the truck, and we're driving down the road. And then our dispatch confirms, like, yeah, this is a real working fire. And I really felt my heart pumping, and I was like, okay, I need to breathe. Um, and then we round this corner, and I can just see that the night sky is just bright, like it is lit up. And we get past the building, and I see this trailer just fully from one end to the other engulfed in flames. And my chest started hurting, like my heart was pumping so hard. And we were the first truck there, and I get out of the truck, and so does the other firefighter. And my captain tells him to pull a line to one side and me to pull a line to another side. And I was so flustered and so, I don't know, nervous. I was trying to get my pack off the truck, and I pulled my pack off the truck, and all my straps were tightened, and it was just taking me a long time because I was kind of like, oh my gosh, this is like really happening right next to me. Um, and I was just trying to pray myself down, if that makes sense. Because
Totally.
obviously my breathing wasn't working.
Right.
So I was just
Yeah.
like, God, you got to fix this. Like, I'm messing up. And eventually I was able to get everything going and ready to go and grab a hose. But by that time, another truck had gotten pulled up and got on the other side. And so I just went with the other firefighter. And he handed me the hose, and we're putting out the fire. And I mean, it was like fighting a dragon. It was crazy. My chest, I've never felt my chest hurt so bad, and felt so sick afterwards. It was so weird. I think it was because of so much adrenaline.
Right.
But I totally let it override me, and I was panicked. But once I finally got on the nozzle and I was kind of spraying the fire, I was able to pray and calm myself down. But yeah, that was probably the first and only time that I really felt my emotions like take over.
Can you
in
like
that flight response.
Can you like control adrenaline?
I couldn't in that moment. Like, it was just dumping.
I was gonna say that really wasn't your fault then if you can't like control your adrenaline.
Yeah, I mean, it was happening, and I just had to roll with it. But yeah, afterwards I felt really sick. Like, my stomach was hurting really bad. I remember that, and I think it was because, like, that was probably the most adrenaline I've ever felt in my life. It was really crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
I remember you telling me that too. You're like, I got really, really sick afterwards. You
Yeah.
you were like throwing up.
I felt like I was gonna throw up really bad, yeah, but I didn't.
I don't know if I would handle it with that much grace. I love I love to watch and sit back, and you think, oh, these TV shows, are like that, but they're not. It's real life, so it looks differently.
Yeah.
You can't even watch those types of TV shows with him at this point. He's like, wrong.
Really fake.
That's fake. That's not. And I'm like, I don't want to watch this with you.
That's funny. Well, he knows the real thing. He doesn't have to watch it to know what's gonna happen next. He's like, I've walked that path already.
I'm just saying, I don't think you would like watching those shows with him.
I've enjoyed since he has gotten the job to see the real life part of it, because I I like that. I secretly love the drama of the ambulance drive. It's not really a secret because I talk about it all the time, but I enjoy the back part of knowing the hospital stuff and the ambulance and the different situations that he gets into. But I don't know if I could actually real time handle it
Yeah.
the way that is appropriate.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, oh, I could handle it just fine until I heard him talking about it. But it takes a certain
Oh, I
a
agree.
certain walk to be able to handle that stuff, I think.
And that was also something that was different for me, like too, when we were talking about like this chosen like it was like a calling,
Yeah.
was because like even because you were a firefighter in New Mexico when we lived in New Mexico, and then we moved to Texas, and our initial plan was be an EMT here for a little bit until you could test out or whatever and become a fireman. And so then like as like the process continued and we lived here longer and longer, I mean like more things just kind of like more doors kept closing, more things kept not working out when it came to like becoming a fireman and like pursuing that role, because you wanted to be a fireman
Yeah.
when we first got here.
Definitely.
But then he at this job continued to work it and continued to fall like more and more in love with the personal relationships part.
Yeah.
Like he like that's what I feel like I hear you say most is like you love the job, you love what you do, but you love the like the relationships, like the
Yeah, the
connection.
patient care, I would say, like actually getting to take care of somebody
Yeah.
for more than 15 minutes. Because when I was a firefighter, we didn't run ambulances. So it would just be like we kind of just take care of the patient until an ambulance arrives and then we load them up. And
Well, even when you're a fireman, you're like, I love like putting out fires, but I love the medical calls.
Yeah.
And so like when we came here and you like all of a sudden were like, I think I really want to stay as an EMT and work on the streets and maybe potentially be a paramedic, and I was like, what the freaking heck?
Yeah. Because I loved being a
Because
fireman
like
so
yeah,
much.
like it was like a thing.
I
Like
was a diehard fireman.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was. And so it definitely was a change, and I felt like through that process like God walked us through it very gracefully, because for me like it kind of really like whiplashed me. I was like, you want to give up firefighting? Like
Yeah.
you
It
love it.
wasn't an easy choice, but
Yeah.
it was
But then I just
feeling from God. So.
I just felt like that's what made it like a God thing, was because you know it just didn't seem like something that he'd want to pursue more than being a fireman, but he just loved it.
Oh yeah, and now he gets to walk into that church, and God's opening
That's
different doors for him to walk into. It's fun. I mean, on the mom side of all of it, just listening to you guys, it's like a prayer that you pray when your kids first get married, give them the direction to walk and walk peace, that they can walk into each step with peace and clarity and know exactly where their calling is, and so to be able to sit back and in real time see God maneuver that. It's, I was thinking about last night when we were preparing for the show, for the episode. I was just thinking, I have had front row seat to God's provision in my kids' life, in their lives. And it doesn't matter how hard life gets, we get to sit back as parents and watch the goodness of the Lord play out. No matter how hard life gets, you at some point get to experience the blessing of it. And I've been able to do that with Sadie and Andrew, is watch the blessing that has unfolded from the EMT, him walking into that, and how much growth and wisdom and clarity that he's walked into. And I've been super proud as I've watched him go through all
Thank you.
this road that he's traveled. It's been really nice.
I'm just really blessed. Honestly.
You are super blessed.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. All right, so the next question we have is, how do you show Christ's love to people who might be angry, scared, or combative at the moment?
Yeah, I've definitely had a lot of people angry with me or combative for no reason. Or I mean, it's obviously for a reason, but whether they're on drugs or um, they're going to jail right after we take them to the hospital, so they're upset. Uh, really, just trying to treat everybody with grace and knowing or thinking to myself, whatever situation they were just in before this, like whether they were in police custody or whatever, that has no effect on me treating them like a human or treating them like a person. Like whatever drugs they're on doesn't mean they're any less of a son or a daughter of Jesus, just like me.
Yeah.
And anybody could end up in their position. Like I see all these homeless people, and I'm like, it takes somebody to have one bad week to be just like them. Like literally, I've made us homeless before, and it was hard. And it just takes anybody one hard week, and they could be in that same position. So why not show grace and mercy, just like you would want from God in that kind of situation? And if you can be that vessel that brings them grace and mercy when everybody else around them treats them poorly or doesn't even look at them or throws trash at them, um, I think that's a special thing.
It's a very special thing. Have you ever wanted to be in ministry in that way? Like,
Yeah.
have you wanted to walk into that?
Yeah, not until recently, honestly. Like when we were at church last Sunday, they were talking about how they have a homeless ministry,
Right.
and I got really excited about that. I thought that was really cool, but I have no idea what requirements or what you'd have to do to be a part of that. But
I think you should look into that
yeah, that'd be cool.
because I think that would be really cool to watch you walk through that. I mean, I would do it with you.
It can be intimidating. I mean, not all of them are nice. Not everybody's nice, but a lot of people just want to be talked to like a person or be heard.
But I also think it'd be a really cool way for our kids to grow up in ministry in that way as well. Like being able to like watch their parents and not just watch their parents, but like be a part of it and like have a heart for those things as they grow up. So like it's just like embedded in their every part of them.
Well, as they watch you guys walk through it, it's going to become normal. I mean, it's not going to be something that they have to think twice about. It's going to be something that they've watched you guys walk, so they're going to be able to walk it too. So,
well, I think the homeless thing would be cool. I'm just a scaredy pants.
Scaredy pants.
I'm just a scaredy pants. Like I don't want to ever like be like walk up to a situation and then it go like south.
That's what I'm saying. Like read the room for sure.
I know.
Not everybody.
Well, you have to remember that you have the Holy Spirit inside of you. So as you're walking, through that, you remember who you are. You have authority over your space.
Well, I say that stuff, and then I'm always like, so like, am I carrying spirit of fear? Like, do I trust the Lord actually? Like, if I'm, what I'm saying? Like, I catch myself in these moments, but I would like to do that just so I can overcome some of the lies that the enemy's placed in my brain, where I can't like leave my apartment without like his bad intentions. Somebody, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's like so like I don't know, But I would love to like kind of overcome a lot of those like I would say like fears of dangerous people.
Because I don't think you need to be afraid.
Well, if I can get past it, like you said, like people are just people, I mean, they're operating under a lot of them that are like malicious like that are just operating under like evil spirits, and they don't have authority over me because God, like, I get what you're saying, and so like it's just a mental thing that I gotta.
I'm not worried about you. I know we've overcome a lot of mental strongholds that have tried to stop us from moving forward, and we just walk through it. God has given us the emotion of fear, but he's also teaching us how to be brave. So though we feel like fear might paralyze us, he's giving us gifts and ways to overcome each and every one of those places where we're afraid. It's almost like he puts things in our way and says, here, yes, you're afraid, but let's work through that. And of course, we have free will. And I say that a lot because I've heard it very much lately is, we have free will. And does that mean God has, directed, just doesn't know what's going to happen with each turn that we take. No, that doesn't mean that. Yes, we have free will, but he is the author and he knows each direction that we go, and he's going to meet us. He also has no time. Like, he knows beginning from end, so he can step into each timeline as we, move forward. And so we have to be able to meet him there. And with fear and being brave, I know when I thought I was too old to start ministry, honestly, I didn't think that at my age it would be wise to just step from motherhood into ministry. But he's also shows me that he's already knew that that might happen, or that was going to happen. And so he met me there and he assured me that it wasn't too late, and he already saw the beginning from the end. And and so you just follow him in that. And that's what you guys are doing with the each step that you guys take forward with EMT and with the homeless ministry and the different thing. God's showing you a different path that you can be brave.
And this what me and you are building is real.
Yeah,
very real.
It's something that bravery is a big deal. And I don't think we honestly think as parents to show our kids that yes, we are afraid to do some of this stuff, but we also have the courage to overcome it. And that I'm not going to ask you to fulfill your calling that God has called you guys into if I haven't stepped into something that I know that I could potentially fail at, but still move forward in anyways. And also, carrying the badge of failure is a source of pride. And when God showed that to me, that I was thinking only about myself when I was afraid to do that, it brought me into a different state of thinking about it, because I thought, I'm not prideful. But then he showed me, well, being too humble can be prideful too, because you're just looking solely at yourself. How many people could you open their eyes when you're only looking inward and looking at yourself? So but you guys have taught me as a mom to be brave, so I'm very proud of both of you.
You've taught us to be brave, so it's been.
You still it for me?
Sorry, but it's been.
You've
awesome.
taught me as a mom to be brave.
That's true. Yeah. It's been really cool.
I've really enjoyed watching you guys. So it's been a blessing.
Also, you've spoken into our lives just as much as you've enjoyed watching it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm always like, I need to call my mom. Or he goes to something, he's like, we should talk to your parents about it first.
Well,
Very
of
true,
course,
yeah.
all parents want that for their kids. I mean, when we decided to even put this, episode, she got it from her mom, I was a little, I was blessed because I got to see the fruit of, the things that I had taught. And I was very excited to do it alongside of her, and to be able to watch the blessing, if even you joining, and who, we don't even know where God's going to take it, but yeah, I'm excited to see the future.
Yeah.
Me too.
Me too.
Me too.
That's really exciting.
All right, so only a few more questions. So 2 more actually. It says, how has serving people in a crisis deepened your gratitude for everyday blessings?
Yeah, like I was saying in the beginning, everything I see, like going into people's houses or even treating people who live in a dumpster, just makes me so thankful for everything I have, for the family that I have, for being able to take a shower every single day, being able to move, be able to walk and talk and see and hear. Like, just the most basic things are humongous blessings, and that I take for granted every single day. Like, I wake up sometimes and I still don't thank God for giving me breath this morning. Like, and that is, if you didn't have that, you wouldn't have anything. That's literally the first blessing every single day, is that you still have breath. And I can't tell you how many times I take the small things for granted. So,
and I feel like that's been a cool, like, different mentality that he's like, kind of like, I mean, you're always like positive and like, all that, but like when becoming like an EMT, I felt like you started to view things like an EMT specifically versus like a fireman. You started to like kind of view life in like a different lens. because you saw that stuff and you saw people in like the darkest places and the most unhealthy places and like, and so like in situations where we're like struggling with something, or like sometimes like I'm being a baby about something, or like just like life happens, you have a very different like perspective or lens, because you see like the worst of the worst every day. And so then you're like, you're complaining right
really
now.
well off
He doesn't say it like
compared
that.
to. No, I definitely don't. But I'm just, yeah, I have a way better appreciation for everything.
Yeah.
Wow. That I think just hearing the stories makes me, I watched him a while back interact with a man, which really changed the way I thought about how we're supposed to interact with people. You know, it we don't think of being homeless as something that we're afraid of, but at times we tend to walk a little farther away, or do things a little differently than we would do it before. But as I was watching him walk up, shake his hand, act like, it was fine, it gave me peace watching him walk into the store, just knowing that. And it's taught me to be able to see the situation differently.
Well, that situation reminds me, like in hearing it, like the like or thinking about it, or like you talking about the last couple times, from what like Troy or Pastor Troy had said in church. I was like, you never know where you're gonna meet God. Like you never know
Yeah.
who God's gonna show up
Yeah.
as, and so like we need to treat everybody like, like God's in the room.
Right.
And so then like in those situations, I probably would have been like, Mom, let's go to a different store. I'm not
Well,
getting
there's
out.
been so many times I've failed at that, like not, missing the opportunity, looking at it like that could have been an angel, or looking at it like that could have been God giving me an opportunity to be a blessing. And we miss things like that. So in order to watch him do it, it was like an example that this is how we are supposed to treat people. This is how we're supposed to walk in that. And it was a really eye opener to lean into something that would potentially you would look at differently, but be able to look at it the way God has shown, in the Bible, how, he talks about us treating people like, it could be an angel, and us not even knowing about it, And so
I wish I could have been there for this interaction. Because like it made such an impact on you. Like I could tell every single time we talk about it, and I just wish I was there to see like the actual situation, especially because he was like, Andrew talks about how like he was just like a dancer, and he was like, yeah, dance for me, bro, let me see your moves. And like it was like so casual, but then he's like an actual like, like kind of like homeless-esque type of like on drugs, but then you're like, yeah, he's a person, he just wanted to show me how you danced, it was like so casual.
He's like, you want to see me dance? I was like, yeah, man, dance. And he danced, and I was like, cool, I'm Andrew. What's your name?
well, we have a certain lens as humans. I mean, we do. We look at people like, I think as women, we have to be cautious and live in wisdom. I mean, so would I have necessarily approached that the same way as him? But no, but it's only because, you know, I'm a girl, and we have to carry ourselves differently than he would carry
It's
himself.
completely understandable.
But as I watched it, it was like that is like an angel underwear. You don't know. You don't know who that person could be. You don't know if they're needing money, you don't know who you're putting the money in their hands. When you look at it like that, it makes the situation seem different. Even when we were walking around San Antonio, there was a man that was playing the piano in the and in the midst of all these people, that spot was like God saying, I own this right here. This is mine. And you felt the atmosphere shift from one spot to the next. I mean, it was dominated. The Holy Spirit had that spot. And it was almost like a drawing, like a physical drawing. You just wanted to be in that spot. And that's kind of how I felt watching him. It's like when you have authority in a space, when you know where God has called you, and you know, and you walk into that, it's like it's a drawing for other people because they see that, and it's like the authority that you take on with the grace that God gives you. You're just able to walk into a situation, and as a person on the outside, it's a blessing because you see that, and you're just like you feel the feeling of peace and joy, and you know that God is there, that his presence just showed up.
Yeah.
Whether I was watching it or standing in it, or in those places.
Well, and like for before we, because you guys went off, and that's when you and Dad had seen you give him money, but me and him didn't. And like it sounded like worship music was just like playing, like some like over like the like you could hear it kind of like pierce through the entire place where he was, and so like I didn't even know it was a real person singing. Like we were just like, wow, it's cool they like play worship music here, like that's pretty cool, like this, whatever, like acoustic, like that's sick. Like we were, that's what we thought, because like you said, you could hear it, you didn't know where it was from, so you kind of just thought it was like some sort of speaker system. But then when we went closer to find you guys, we're like, oh my gosh, like that's this guy in like this fold out chair, and like not really like he looked like he could potentially be homeless.
Yeah.
It was in like a janky chair. He had a keyboard, but you could tell it was like a battery powered keyboard, and it was like just laying on his legs, and he was just like in his own world.
He dominated that spot. The Holy Spirit was so tangible right there in that atmosphere. It was like, it was such a drawing. I mean, and that's what we do when we shift an atmosphere, no matter where we're at, on the ambulance, or walking in the mall, or in a church, or in a place. That authority that we carry into these situations is what the gift that God gives us. He gives us authority and power, so that even no matter how the patient or the people respond to what you're doing, because they're not always nice, but it's like a grace that God gives you when you sit in the chair, or when you stand over the patient. When we carry that authority that God gives us, it brings us power to be able to dominate whatever situation. And that's what I see, when Andrew walks into the room. That's what I saw when that guy started playing the piano, and that's what I see when we walk into church, knowing who we are. When we know who we are and who God has called us to be, we're able to stand up just a little bit taller, speak a little bit louder, know that we carry power without fear, have a little more bravery. And that's where I feel like God has graced us. If we can meet him in that situation, then we're able to overcome anything that is standing in our way. We don't have to be afraid. We can have bravery. We can move forward.
Yeah.
And in my head, it's like that guy who was outside of the store. That could have been the only person that ever stopped and talked to him that whole day.
Yeah.
And that's just sad. Like, orphans don't, like in my head, they don't just classify as children.
Right.
Like, all these homeless people have been abandoned by the world, and forgotten about and stepped on. And, like the Bible says, to take care of the orphans and the widows. And those homeless people are orphans of the world.
Right.
And they've been forgotten about and thrown away. And it's like, that's just kind of heartbreaking to me. So I feel like the least you could do is just even acknowledge their presence, because so many people don't. Like, you see so many people, and everybody, like, you see them while you're driving, and you just like try to look the other way or keep your head down, and that's just like, that would hurt your heart if that was you.
Right.
You'd feel like trash. And that's, I don't know, that part hits home for me. Like, it makes me want to talk to them.
Yeah, I can see that.
And he does.
Yes, he does.
He talks to
him. It's good.
And it's funny because like I'm like such a like anti-talker, and you're like the most talker person, and like, oh, I'm gonna greet everyone, oh, I'm gonna say hi to them, like not acknowledge them, and then just like in the back. And I'm like, wow, that was so hard for me to just stand there. Like I tried to say hi. Like, how did I do? And you're just like so natural at it. So like, I know I do wish I could be more like welcoming, I guess. But
Well, you're going to. I can see it. I I see your bravery. I see the way you step out and you have moved past your things that you've been scared of. You're conquering and
It's new.
shifting and leaning into and all the things, pulling the anointing down. I mean, you're able to move past some of this, and I'm proud of you.
Well, I think that's just like the environment here. Like we've watched like Bella and Kavian do things that they've been really afraid of doing.
True.
And like doing it, you know what I'm saying? And like
Yeah.
things that all of us have been really nervous or uncomfortable or afraid to do, and like dad, and like I just feel like it's like that's the season. It's just like overcoming and like
Yeah.
being brave, because it like in the coming season, like we need to we need to have overcome these things, and we need to walk in that confidently.
Right. Well, and it helps that we're in a prophetic atmosphere. I mean, because it teaches us how to walk prophetically. I mean, honestly, being prophetic is knowing you can hear the voice of God.
Mm.
I mean, we complicate things. We make it to where, iron sharpens iron is when two people have a gift and they pull it out of each other. So when you walk with people that you're in alignment with, when you walk with people that are pulling the same gold out of you that you're trying to pull out of them, it makes you conquer things that you never thought you could conquer.
Yeah.
And they're also praying for you and not talking about you, which is really big. You want to make sure you have friends that you can trust, that you can align yourself with, that that they're on their knees praying for you and not gossiping about you in the prayer chain, which is in the church a really, a real big fear. Not everybody wants to ask for prayer because you don't know what somebody else will know by the end of it. So, being able to walk in full alignment with people that you can trust, and it's big finding a church that you can sow into, that that the ground is good soil. Those are important things. And I believe that we've walked into that, and so it's being able to walk into things like that just make you brave.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
All right, and our last question is, if you could give one piece of spiritual advice to a brand new EMT or first responder, what would it be?
Definitely be to pray every single day, and just learn to prioritize God, because, like I said, He's the only reason that I'm able to like get through all the craziness that I see. I have literally no explanation for it besides I just know that God covers my heart.
Yeah.
And He protects me. He protects my mind. And He doesn't let those things have a hold over me. And I really think that's because I just talk to Him and I ask Him for help constantly. So, yeah.
I agree with that. And also, I feel like another way that God's shown up in the season is like, you've probably worked the most you ever worked in your life, but I've seen you the most energized and like pumped for life, and like present in the family that I've ever seen you. So I feel like that's another way that God's kind of showed up for you in this. I mean, God always shows up.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, like this job is a very, like rigorous or like taxing job. Like not on just like you, but like on our whole family.
Yeah.
And like you've been very good to like, just like show up, and like, I mean, you stay up with me till like midnight, like sometimes 1 o'clock, and then he gets up at 4 or 5 o'clock, and then and you never make me feel bad for it, and you're always there with the kids, and like
I still have to have a life outside of work.
I know, but there once was a time where you didn't work near as much, and you let like just like life take over.
Yeah, definitely.
And so
but
like
I also was not prioritizing God at all.
Yeah.
The same way that I feel like I am now.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm really making an effort to.
No,
and it's changed a lot.
I think I definitely see that it has, and I've really enjoyed to watch the way that like if you can center God not only just like in your home life, but like in your marriage, but like in your work life, it could really change a lot.
Yeah, it really has.
I mean, I don't work, but
yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Being a mother is a job.
Yeah, that's way harder than my job.
I just want to thank you guys for joining us on this episode. We have really enjoyed interviewing Andrew, and we're stepping into new territory with doing some of these interviews. And thank you guys for subscribing and following us. And we're going to pray us out, and then we will be back for episode 8. 8.
8.
8.
8.
Yes, 8.
I
We
know.
will be on episode 8 next week, and I cannot believe it. It's crazy. I'm going to pray us out. Love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessing of family. We thank you for all that you're doing for the people that are watching. We thank you that you are stepping into each and every home, and you are blessing, and you are teaching, and you are helping them learn how to hear your voice. Lord, I thank you for all that you do and everything that you are, and we love you, we love you, we love you. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
We'll be back. Bye.